What happens when two of the world's most powerful princes abandon diplomatic protocol for digital combat? When traditional royal duties collide with modern gaming culture, the result is more explosive than any state dinner or ceremonial ribbon cutting. This is the story of how a casual conversation about video games sparked an international gaming rivalry that would capture global attention and redefine what it means to be royal in the digital age. The autumn rain drummed against the tall windows of Kensington Palace as Prince William sat in his private study, scrolling through his tablet with the kind of focused intensity usually reserved for state documents. But tonight, instead of reviewing briefings about Commonwealth affairs or environmental initiatives, the future King of England was watching highlight reels of professional Rocket League matches on YouTube. It had started innocently enough 3 months earlier, during a state visit. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had brought along his younger brother, Prince Faisal bin Salman, for what was supposed to be a routine diplomatic meeting. While the senior royals discussed trade agreements and regional stability in the ornate drawing rooms, Prince Faisal had mentioned his passion for competitive gaming during a brief conversation with William. "You know, Your Royal Highness," Faisal had said with a slight smile, "I've been following your work with mental health initiatives, particularly around young people and technology. But I wonder if you've ever considered the positive aspects of gaming culture."
William had been polite but skeptical.
His understanding of video games was limited to the concerns raised by child psychologists and the occasional news story about gaming addiction. "I'm afraid my experience is rather limited," he had admitted. "Though I'm always interested in learning about what engages young people, what followed was an impromptu demonstration that would change everything." Faisal had pulled out his phone and shown William clips of Rocket League, explaining how the game combines soccer with rocket-powered cars in gravity-defying arenas. The skill, strategy, and split-second decision-making required had genuinely impressed William. More importantly, Faisal had explained how gaming had become a legitimate sport, with professional players earning substantial incomes and massive audiences tuning in to watch competitions. The reflexes, the teamwork, the mental resilience required, Faisal had explained enthusiastically. It's not so different from traditional sports. And the global community it creates is remarkable. Players from every continent, every background, competing on equal terms. That evening, after the formal dinner had concluded and the Saudi delegation had returned to their hotel, William found himself curious enough to download Rocket League on his PlayStation. What he discovered was a game that was simultaneously simple to understand and impossibly difficult to master. Cars played soccer with a giant ball, but the vehicles could fly, flip, and boost across the arena walls and ceiling. It was chaos, but organized chaos that required genuine skill. His first few matches were disasters. William's car spent more time upside down than right side up, and his attempts to hit the ball often resulted in spectacular misses that would have been embarrassing if not for the anonymity of his generic username, Royal Blue. But there was something addictive about the gameplay, something that made him want to try just one more match, to get just a little bit better. Catherine had discovered his new hobby one evening when she found him in the study at nearly midnight, completely absorbed in a particularly intense match. "Darling," she had said, peering over his shoulder at the screen where rocket-powered cars were flying through the air. "What on earth are you doing?" "Research," he had replied without taking his eyes off the screen. "It's cultural research." She had laughed, but there was truth in his words. As William's skills improved over the following weeks, he began to understand what Prince Faisal had meant about the global community aspect. In ranked matches, he played alongside and against people from every corner of the world. Communication happened through quick chat messages and split-second teamwork. Nationality, social status, and background were irrelevant. Only skill mattered. The transformation in William's understanding was gradual but profound. He started following professional Rocket League tournaments, learning about the strategies and techniques that separated amateur players from professionals. He discovered that the best players possessed the same qualities that made great athletes in traditional sports: dedication, analytical thinking, emotional control under pressure, and the ability to work seamlessly with teammates. More importantly, he began to see gaming not as a frivolous distraction, but as a legitimate form of competition and entertainment that engaged millions of young people worldwide. The global Rocket League community included players from countries where traditional sports opportunities were limited, where young people found purpose and community through digital competition. His gameplay improved steadily. The car control that had seemed impossible at first became second nature. He learned to read the ball's trajectory, to position himself for saves and shots, to rotate with teammates in the complex dance of high-level play. His rank climbed from bronze to silver to gold. each promotion bringing a small thrill of accomplishment. It was during this period of steady improvement that he received an unexpected message through the game's communication system. He had just finished a particularly good match, scoring 2 goals in a close victory, when a direct message appeared from a player named Saudi Flyer. Your defensive positioning has improved significantly since we last spoke. William stared at the message for a long moment before the realization hit him. The username, the slightly formal tone, the reference to improvement over time, it could only be Prince Faisal. Somehow, the Saudi prince had identified him among the millions of anonymous players. His response was cautious. "I'm not sure what you mean. Do we know each other?" The reply came quickly. "I believe we discussed the positive aspects of gaming culture at a recent diplomatic function. Your playing style is quite distinctive, and you've been using the same username since you started. Also, your improvement curve matches someone who would have substantial time to practice, but access to high-quality coaching resources." William felt a mixture of embarrassment and amusement. Had his identity been so obvious? "Well," he typed back, "this is certainly unexpected. Indeed. I must say, Your Royal Highness, your progress has been impressive. Though I notice you still have difficulty with aerial shots." The comment stung, partly because it was accurate. Aerial play, launching the car into the air to hit the ball, remained William's weakest skill. But more than that, there was something in the tone that suggested a challenge. "I suppose you consider yourself superior in that area?" William responded. "In aerial mechanics, certainly, though your ground game and positional awareness are quite good. Perhaps we should have a proper match to assess our respective skills." And there it was. The challenge that would change everything. 2 princes, heirs to vast responsibilities and ancient traditions, preparing to settle their differences in a video game about rocket-powered cars playing soccer. "You're suggesting a formal competition?" William typed, his pulse quickening slightly. "Why not? Though I should warn you, I've been competing at the champion level for some time now. The gap between gold and champion rank is significant." William looked at his own rank indicator. Gold 3. Earned through weeks of steady improvement and countless hours of practice. He knew Faisal was right. Champion rank represented a level of skill that seemed almost impossibly advanced from his current perspective. Professional players and serious competitive gamers occupied those higher ranks, but something about the challenge appealed to him. Perhaps it was the competitive spirit that had served him well in military training and various sports throughout his life. Perhaps it was the novelty of competing in an arena where his royal status meant nothing, where only skill and strategy would determine the outcome. "Very well," he replied. "Though I'll need some time to prepare properly. Of course. Shall we say 3 months from now? That should give you sufficient time to improve, though I doubt it will be enough to close such a significant skill gap." The confidence in Faisal's message was clear, and William felt his competitive instinct stirring. 3 months it is, though you might find me more challenging than you expect. We shall see. I look forward to our match, Your Royal Highness. As William logged off that night, his mind was already racing with plans. 3 months to improve from gold to a level where he could compete with a champion-ranked player. It seemed impossible, but he had surprised himself before. More importantly, he found himself genuinely excited about the challenge in a way he hadn't experienced in years. The next morning, over breakfast, Catherine noticed the change in his demeanor immediately. "You seem rather energetic today," she observed, spreading jam on her toast. "I've accepted a sporting challenge," William replied, trying to keep his tone casual. "Oh? What sort of sport?" William paused, realizing how absurd it would sound. "Rocket League." "It's a video game involving cars and soccer." Catherine raised an eyebrow. "You've challenged someone to a video game match?" "Prince Faisal of Saudi Arabia, actually. He's apparently quite skilled. And this is important because..." William considered the question seriously. Why was this important? It wasn't a matter of state or diplomacy. It wouldn't advance any of his charitable causes or royal duties. But somehow, it felt significant. "Because," he said finally, "it's a competition based purely on merit. No protocols, no deference to rank or position. Just skill against skill." "When was the last time I had that opportunity?" Catherine studied her husband's face and saw something there that she recognized from their early days together. A spark of genuine enthusiasm and competitive fire that royal duties had gradually muted over the years. "Then you'd better start practicing," she said with a smile. And practice he did. William's schedule was carefully managed by his private secretary, but he found ways to carve out hours each day for focused gameplay. Early mornings before official duties began, late evenings after the children were asleep, even brief sessions between meetings when his calendar permitted. But playing alone would only take him so far. Within a week, William had quietly reached out to the UK's esports community through carefully worded inquiries from his staff. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Dozens of professional and semi-professional Rocket League players volunteering to help the future king improve his game. The training began in earnest. 3 evenings a week, William found himself in video calls with some of the UK's best Rocket League players, receiving coaching that would have cost thousands of pounds on the open market. They analysed his gameplay frame by frame, identifying weaknesses and designing specific practice routines to address them. "Your defensive rotations are solid," explained Jake Thompson, a professional player for Team Vitality, during one of their coaching sessions. "But your aerial game is holding you back from ranking up. In higher levels, you need to be able to challenge balls in the air consistently." The coaching was intensive and humbling. Skills that William thought he had mastered were deconstructed and rebuilt. His car control, which had seemed adequate in gold-level matches, was revealed to be crude and inefficient compared to higher-level play. His decision-making, while generally sound, was too slow for the pace of champion-level competition. But William was a dedicated student. He spent hours in the game's training modes, practicing aerial shots until his hands ached. He watched professional match footage, studying the positioning and decision-making of top players. He read guides and tutorials, absorbing the theory behind the gameplay mechanics. Gradually, his rank began to climb. Gold 3 became Platinum I, then Platinum 2. Each promotion brought new challenges and revealed new areas for improvement, but also provided evidence that the gap between his current skill level and Faisal's champion rank was slowly closing. The story of the upcoming match had somehow leaked to a small circle of people within both royal households, though both William and Faisal had requested discretion. The idea of 2 princes competing in a video game was too unusual to remain completely secret, and whispers of the challenge began circulating among staff and close associates. As William's skills improved and the date of the match approached, what had started as a simple challenge began to take on larger significance. This wasn't just about video game prowess. It was about adapting to a changing world, about understanding the digital culture that engaged billions of people worldwide, about competing on equal terms in an arena where traditional power structures held no meaning. The match was still 2 months away, but already William could feel the pressure building. Not the familiar pressure of royal duties and public expectations, but the pure, simple pressure of competition. The knowledge that in a few weeks, he would sit down across from Prince Faisal, metaphorically speaking, since they would be competing online from their respective countries, and discover whether months of intensive training had been enough to close the skill gap between them. As he practiced his aerial shots late into the evening, William couldn't help but smile at the absurdity and excitement of it all. Here he was, future King of England, spending his nights learning to flip rocket-powered cars through the air to hit a giant soccer ball. But somehow, it felt exactly right. The notification sound from William's computer cut through the quiet morning air in his Kensington Palace study. 6 weeks remained until the match with Prince Faisal, and the training had become more intensive than anything William had experienced since his military days. His current rank had climbed to Platinum 3, a significant improvement but still well short of the champion level where Faisal competed. The message that appeared on his screen made his coffee cup pause halfway to his lips. It was from Saudi Flyer, Prince Faisal's gaming alias. "Your Royal Highness, I hope your preparation is progressing well. I thought you might find it interesting to know that word of our upcoming match has reached some unexpected ears. The gaming community appears to be taking notice." William quickly switched to his web browser and searched for any mentions of their competition. What he found made his stomach drop slightly. Several gaming forums and social media accounts were discussing rumors of 2 high-profile individuals planning a Rocket League match. While no names were mentioned directly, the speculation was remarkably close to the truth. One particular Reddit thread caught his attention. "Reliable source says major political figures from UK and Saudi are going to play RL match. Any truth to this?" The responses ranged from skeptical dismissal to excited speculation about which politicians might be skilled enough at Rocket League to make such a match interesting. His private secretary, Simon Case, knocked on the door before entering. "Sir, we may have a situation developing regarding your gaming activities." William gestured to the computer screen. "I've just seen some of it. How much do we know about the leak?" It appears to have originated from the gaming community itself. Several of the professionals who have been assisting with your training may have mentioned it to friends or colleagues. Nothing specific, but enough details for people to piece things together. In seeking help to improve his skills, he had necessarily brought more people into the secret. The UK's esports community was tight-knit, and news travelled fast among players and coaches. "What are our options?" William asked. Simon consulted his notes. "We could deny everything, of course. Dismiss it as internet speculation and rumours. Alternatively, we could get ahead of the story and control the narrative ourselves." Before William could respond, another message appeared from Faisal. "I assume you've seen the online discussions. My staff is recommending we address this publicly, before the speculation grows out of control. What are your thoughts?" William stared at the message for a long moment. Going public would transform what had been a private challenge between two individuals into a much larger spectacle. The pressure would intensify enormously, but there might also be opportunities. "Sir?" Simon prompted. "Set up a call with Prince Faisal's team," William decided. "If we're going to go public, we should coordinate our approach." The video conference later that day included representatives from both royal households, communications specialists, and digital media experts. Prince Faisal appeared on screen from his office in Riyadh, looking as composed as always despite the unusual circumstances. "Your Royal Highness," Faisal began, "I believe we have an opportunity here to do something positive with this situation. The gaming community's interest suggests there's genuine enthusiasm for this kind of cross-cultural engagement." William nodded thoughtfully. "What did you have in mind?" "A charity component," Faisal replied immediately. "We make this about more than just competition. We raise funds and awareness for causes we both care about. Mental health initiatives, youth programs, technology education in underserved communities." The idea had immediate appeal. Both princes had been involved in charitable work throughout their adult lives, and the gaming community had shown remarkable generosity in fundraising efforts for various causes. Major gaming events regularly raised millions for charity through viewer donations and corporate sponsorships. "We could structure it as a best-of-7 series," suggested Marcus Chen, one of William's digital media advisors. "Multiple matches over several days, with different charitable beneficiaries for each match. Build up the excitement while maximizing the fundraising potential." Faisal's communications director added, "The timing could work well with Global Mental Health Awareness Month. Both of your organizations have done significant work in that area." Over the next 2 hours, what had started as a simple gaming challenge evolved into something much more ambitious. The Royal Rocket League Championship would be a week-long event featuring 7 matches between William and Faisal. Each match would support different charitable causes, with donations encouraged from viewers worldwide. More significantly, they decided to broadcast the matches live on streaming platforms with professional commentary and analysis. The UK's BBC Sport and Saudi Arabia's sports broadcasting networks expressed immediate interest in covering the event, recognizing the unique nature of the competition. "We're really doing this," William said as the call concluded, a mix of excitement and apprehension in his voice. "Indeed we are," Faisal replied, "though I should mention that the additional pressure might affect your performance. I hope you're prepared for that." Even through the video call, William could detect the slight smile in Faisal's tone. The psychological gamesmanship had begun. The public announcement came 3 days later. Carefully coordinated press releases from Kensington Palace and the Saudi Royal Court revealed the Royal Rocket League Championship for charity. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, the story was trending on social media platforms worldwide. Gaming publications rushed to analyze the skill levels and playing styles of both princes based on limited available information. Traditional sports broadcasters debated whether esports competitions involving royalty represented a new form of diplomacy or simply entertainment. The response from the gaming community was particularly enthusiastic. Professional Rocket League players began offering their own commentary and predictions. Tournament organizers reached out about hosting watch parties. The game's developer, Psyonix, announced they would be creating special commemorative items in honor of the championship. But with the public attention came intensified scrutiny of William's gaming abilities. Videos of his early matches, recorded and posted by other players before they knew his identity, surfaced online. The analysis was not particularly flattering. "Royal Blue's aerial game is genuinely concerning," wrote one popular Rocket League content creator. "If he's planning to compete against a champion-level player in 6 weeks, he needs a miracle." The criticism stung, but it also motivated William to push his training even harder. His coaching sessions expanded to include sports psychologists and performance analysts. The approach became methodical and professional, treating his Rocket League preparation with the same seriousness as preparation for any other major public event. His improvement accelerated dramatically under the intensified training regimen. The combination of increased practice time, expert coaching, and competitive pressure began yielding results. His rank climbed from Platinum 3 to Diamond I, then Diamond 2. More importantly, his gameplay began developing the consistency and tactical awareness necessary for high-level competition. "Your defensive rotations are now genuinely solid," observed Emma Rodriguez, a professional player who had become one of his primary coaches. "And your ground game has improved to the point where you can compete with most champion-level players." The aerial mechanics are still a weakness, but they're not the liability they were a month ago. The matches themselves were still 4 weeks away, but the media build-up continued to intensify. Interview requests poured in from gaming publications, sports networks, and traditional news outlets. Both William and Faisal agreed to limited media availability, recognizing that part of the appeal was maintaining some mystery about their actual skill levels. William's first major interview was with GameSpot, conducted via video call from his study. The interviewer, Jessica Kim, was a respected esports journalist who had covered major tournaments around the world. "Your Royal Highness, what drew you to Rocket League specifically?" she asked. "The universal appeal of it," William replied thoughtfully. "Football is the world's most popular sport, and cars are something people everywhere understand. Combining them in such an inventive way creates something that transcends cultural boundaries. When I'm playing, I'm competing with people from every continent. And nationality doesn't matter. Only skill and teamwork. There's been significant discussion about your current skill level and whether this match will be competitive. How do you respond to skeptics who suggest this is more publicity stunt than genuine competition?" William smiled. "I understand the skepticism. My improvement curve has been steep, but I started from absolute beginner level just a few months ago. Prince Faisal has years of experience and competes at a much higher rank. On paper, this should be a completely one-sided affair. But you don't think it will be? I think competition has a way of revealing things that aren't apparent in normal circumstances. Pressure affects everyone differently. Training can only simulate so much of the actual experience of competing. We'll find out together what happens when it's all on the line." The interview generated significant discussion in gaming communities. William's thoughtful approach to discussing the game and its cultural impact impressed many who had been skeptical about the entire concept. His acknowledgement of the skill gap, rather than false bravado, earned respect from experienced players who understood exactly how significant the difference between diamond and champion ranks could be. Meanwhile, Prince Faisal was conducting his own media appearances, and his interviews revealed a competitor who was taking the challenge seriously despite his significant ranking advantage. "His Royal Highness Prince William has approached this with the dedication of a professional athlete," Faisal told a Saudi gaming publication. "The rate of his improvement has been remarkable. While I remain confident in the outcome, I would be foolish to underestimate someone who has shown such rapid development." Behind the public statements, both princes were engaged in serious preparation. Faisal's training regimen had intensified as well, working with top European and Middle Eastern players to ensure his skills remained sharp. He had reached Grand Champion rank, the highest tier in Rocket League, and regularly competed in community tournaments against semi-professional players. The psychological aspect of the competition became increasingly important as the matches approached. Both players were receiving advice from sports psychologists about managing pressure, maintaining focus, and performing under unprecedented scrutiny. "The unique aspect of this competition," explained Dr. Sarah Matthews, a sports psychologist working with William's team, "is that neither participant has experience competing in esports at this level of public attention. Traditional athletes build up to major events through smaller competitions with gradually increasing pressure. You're both jumping directly into the deep end." William found the mental preparation as challenging as the mechanical skill development, visualization exercises, pressure training with artificial crowds and commentary, breathing techniques for maintaining calm during intense moments, all skills that had served him well in other high-pressure situations but needed adaptation for the gaming environment. 3 weeks before the matches, William achieved a breakthrough that surprised even his coaches. During a particularly intense training session against a team of champion-level players, something clicked. His aerial timing, which had been inconsistent for months, suddenly became reliable. His positioning, previously reactive, became predictive. For 30 minutes he played at a level that matched his opponents. "That," said Jake Thompson after the session ended, "looked like champion-level play." The breakthrough was both encouraging and terrifying. It proved that William could compete at the required level, but it also revealed how narrow the margin for error would be. Consistent performance at that level, especially under the pressure of live broadcast and millions of viewers, would require perfect mental preparation. 2 weeks before the championship, William received a message that made him laugh despite the pressure he was feeling. "I've been watching some footage of your recent training sessions," Faisal had written. "I must admit, I'm impressed by your progress. This may actually be a competitive match after all." "Are you concerned?" William replied. Intrigued would be more accurate. "Though I should mention that I've also been preparing more intensively lately. It would be disappointing if this weren't a proper competition." The psychological gamesmanship continued, but there was genuine respect underlying the competitive banter. Both princes had invested enormous amounts of time and effort into their preparation. What had started as a casual challenge between two individuals had evolved into something that represented broader themes about competition, cultural exchange, and adapting to a digital world. As William practiced his aerial shots late into the evening, exactly 2 weeks before the first match, he reflected on the journey that had brought him to this point. 6 months ago, he had never heard of Rocket League. Now he was preparing to compete in a globally broadcast esports championship that would raise funds for charity and demonstrate that even royalty could engage with digital culture on its own terms. The transformation hadn't been just in his gaming skills. The intensive training had given him insights into the dedication and professionalism of competitive gaming that had changed his entire perspective on esports. These weren't children playing video games. They were athletes who trained with the same intensity and strategic thinking as competitors in any traditional sport. More importantly, the global gaming community's enthusiastic response to the championship had shown him something profound about the potential for digital platforms to create connections across cultural and national boundaries. In a few weeks, millions of people from around the world would be watching two princes compete in a game that reduced them to the same level as any other player. Judged purely on skill, strategy, and performance under pressure, the championship was no longer just about William versus Faisal. It had become a symbol of how traditional institutions could adapt to and embrace the digital age, how competition could create understanding between cultures, and how even the most unlikely circumstances could generate genuine excitement and charitable impact. But first, William had to actually win some matches, and with 2 weeks remaining, every training session, every aerial shot, and every strategic decision carried the weight of expectations that had grown far beyond what either prince had originally imagined. The morning of the first match dawned grey and drizzly in London, but inside Kensington Palace the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. William had barely slept, his mind cycling through aerial techniques and rotation strategies despite his sports psychologist's advice about rest and mental preparation. The championship had grown beyond anyone's initial expectations. Over 2 million people had already registered for the livestream across various platforms. Charitable donations had reached £800,000 before a single match was played. Gaming publications, traditional sports networks, and international news outlets had sent representatives to both London and Riyadh to cover what many were calling the most unusual sporting event of the decade. William's study had been transformed into a professional streaming setup. Multiple cameras captured different angles, professional lighting eliminated shadows and glare, and a sound system worthy of a recording studio ensured perfect audio quality. The BBC Sport commentary team, led by veteran esports commentator Daniel Hayes and joined by former professional Rocket League player Lisa Chen, had arrived early to test their equipment. "Your Royal Highness," Daniel said during the technical rehearsal, "I have to ask, are you nervous?" William considered the question seriously. "Terrified would be more accurate," he admitted with a slight smile. "But it's the good kind of terror, the kind that sharpens your focus rather than paralyzing you." In Riyadh, Prince Faisal was making similar preparations in a custom-built gaming room that had been constructed specifically for the championship. The Saudi Broadcasting Corporation had invested heavily in production values, recognizing the global significance of the event. Their commentary team included the most respected Arabic-language esports commentators and a special guest, Kamal Turbo Al-Takriti, the first player to win the Rocket League World Championship 4 times. The format they had agreed upon was elegant in its simplicity. 7 matches over 7 days, each supporting a different charitable cause. Best of 5 games per match, with the overall winner being the first to claim 4 match victories. Today's match would benefit mental health organizations in both the UK and Saudi Arabia, with viewer donations being matched pound for pound by both royal households. At exactly 7 p.m. London time, 10 p.m. Riyadh time, both princes appeared on screen for the pre-match interview. The split-screen format showed William in his Kensington study and Faisal in his Riyadh gaming room, both looking focused but relaxed. Gentlemen, began the moderator, gaming journalist Marcus Thompson, after months of preparation, we're finally here. Your Royal Highness, Prince William, how are you feeling? Excited and grateful, William replied. This started as a simple challenge between two people who happened to meet at a diplomatic function. To see it grow into something that's engaging millions of people and raising substantial funds for charitable causes has been remarkable. Whatever happens in the matches, that success is already achieved. Prince Faisal, you've maintained that this would be a competitive contest despite the ranking difference. Do you still believe that? Faisal nodded confidently. His Royal Highness has shown incredible dedication and improvement. While I remain confident in my abilities, I've learned never to underestimate an opponent who has trained as intensively as he has. Today we'll discover what months of preparation have produced. The commentary team took over as both princes made final adjustments to their setups. The viewer count had climbed to 2.3 million across all platforms, with real-time donation tallies showing contributions pouring in from over 60 countries. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Hayes announced, we are about to witness something unprecedented in esports history. Two members of royal families, competing at the highest level of Rocket League, with millions watching worldwide and massive charitable contributions at stake. The first game loaded, a standard 3v3 arena, but with both teams consisting of a single player plus two AI teammates. This format had been chosen to focus attention on the individual skills of both competitors while maintaining the team dynamic that made Rocket League compelling. From the opening kickoff, it was clear that both players had prepared extensively. William's car control, which had been awkward and uncertain months earlier, was now smooth and precise. His positioning showed an understanding of rotation and defensive responsibility that impressed the commentators. But Faisal's superior experience was immediately apparent. His movements were more efficient, his decision-making faster, his aerial control demonstrably superior. The first goal came 3 minutes into the game, when Faisal perfectly timed an aerial shot that William couldn't reach despite a desperate save attempt. That's the difference in mechanical skill we expected to see, Lisa Chen observed. Prince Faisal's aerial timing is genuinely professional level. Prince William's positioning was correct, but he simply couldn't reach a ball that Faisal could attack confidently. The game continued at a frenetic pace. William managed to equalize with a well-placed shot from the ground, capitalizing on a rare defensive mistake by Faisal. The crowd reaction, transmitted through the stream's chat function and social media, was explosive. For a few moments, this looked like it might actually be competitive. Faisal reasserted his dominance with 2 quick goals before the game ended, winning 3-1. But the margin felt closer than the score suggested. William had shown moments of brilliance and, more importantly, had maintained his composure under pressure. Interesting first game, commented Turbo Al-Takriti from the Arabic commentary booth. Prince William's ground game is better than his rank would suggest. If he can continue playing at this level, we might have a real contest. The second game began with William noticeably more relaxed. The initial nervousness had passed, replaced by the focused intensity he had developed during months of training. This time, he managed the first goal, a perfectly timed shot that caught Faisal out of position. Faisal's response was immediate and decisive. 2 aerial goals in quick succession demonstrated exactly why he competed at Grand Champion level. His car seemed to float through the air with purpose, attacking balls that William couldn't even attempt to reach. But William adapted. Instead of trying to match Faisal's aerial prowess, he focused on ground control and defensive positioning. He began predicting where the ball would land after Faisal's aerial plays, positioning himself for saves and counterattacks. It was a strategic approach that played to his strengths while minimizing his weaknesses. The game went to overtime, tied 2-2. Sudden death in Rocket League meant the next goal would determine the winner. For 90 seconds, both players battled with desperate intensity. William made several crucial saves that drew appreciation from the professional commentators and wild excitement from the viewing audience. The winning goal came from an unexpected source. A deflection off William's car sent the ball awkwardly toward Faisal's goal. In trying to clear it quickly, Faisal hit it directly upward. William, positioned perfectly, managed his best aerial shot of the competition so far, guiding the ball into the net for an overtime victory. The commentary booth erupted. The viewer chat exploded with celebration and disbelief. William had actually won a game against a Grand Champion player. Unbelievable, Daniel Hayes shouted. Prince William has just defeated Prince Faisal in overtime. The skill gap we all expected to see hasn't materialized. From his gaming chair, William allowed himself a moment of pure celebration. pumping his fist in a way that would have been unthinkable in any other royal context. Across the split screen, Faisal was applauding his opponent's victory, showing the sportsmanship that had characterized their entire competition. The match continued with renewed intensity. Both players now understood that this was genuinely competitive. Faisal's preparation intensified, his play becoming more precise and aggressive. William, buoyed by proving he could win individual games, maintained his strategic approach while looking for opportunities to be more aggressive. Games 3 and 4 went to Faisal, both by narrow margins. His superior mechanical skills eventually overcame William's tactical advantages, but each game was close enough to maintain dramatic tension. The viewing audience had grown to over 3 million, with donation totals exceeding £1.2 million. The fifth and deciding game began with both players clearly feeling the pressure. Early mistakes from both sides led to an unusually sloppy start, but the tension only increased the drama for viewers. William managed an early lead with a goal that showcased his improved aerial ability, not at Faisal's level, but competent enough to capitalize on a defensive error. Faisal equalized quickly, then took the lead with a spectacular shot that reminded everyone watching exactly why he competed at the highest level. With 2 minutes remaining, William demonstrated something that impressed the commentators more than any individual skill: mental toughness. Instead of desperately trying for aerial plays he couldn't consistently execute, he remained patient, positioning himself for opportunities that matched his abilities. The equalizing goal came with 30 seconds left, a ground shot that Faisal couldn't reach despite a sprawling save attempt. Overtime again, with the opening match of the championship hanging in the balance. This overtime lasted longer than the first, nearly 3 minutes of end-to-end action. Both players made spectacular saves, took dangerous shots, and demonstrated the kind of sustained pressure that made Rocket League compelling to watch. The decisive moment came from pure determination. William, trailing the play after a failed attack, chased down a ball that seemed certainly lost. His desperate challenge deflected it toward the center of the field, where it bounced awkwardly. Faisal, positioned for an easy clear, misread the bounce slightly. His car made contact, but sent the ball directly toward his own goal. William, sprinting back into position, arrived just in time to tap the ball into the empty net. The roar from the commentary booth was audible in both London and Riyadh. William had won the opening match 3-2. Claiming the first victory in what everyone had expected to be a one-sided championship. "Ladies and gentlemen," Daniel Hayes announced, barely containing his excitement, "we have just witnessed one of the greatest upsets in esports history. Prince William, ranked Diamond 2, has defeated Prince Faisal, a grand champion player, in their opening match." The post-match interview revealed two competitors who had enormous respect for each other despite the intensity of their rivalry. "Your Royal Highness," the moderator asked William, "did you expect to win tonight?" "Honestly?" "No," William replied, still slightly breathless from the final game. "I hope to be competitive, but Prince Faisal's skill level is genuinely exceptional. I think I benefited from months of intensive preparation, and perhaps from his underestimating how much pressure affects performance, even for experienced players." Faisal was gracious in defeat. His Royal Highness played magnificently. His improvement over recent months has been remarkable, and he demonstrated tonight that ranking doesn't always predict performance in competition. "I'm already looking forward to tomorrow's match." The numbers from the first evening were staggering. Over 4 million viewers across all platforms had watched at least part of the match. Charitable donations had reached £1.8 million. Social media engagement had generated over 2 million posts using the championship hashtag. Gaming publications worldwide were calling it the most significant esports event involving non-professional players in history. But beyond the statistics, something more significant had happened. Two representatives of ancient institutions had engaged with modern digital culture in a way that felt authentic and meaningful. They had demonstrated that competition could transcend cultural boundaries, that preparation and dedication could overcome natural disadvantages, and that even the most traditional figures could find common ground in the virtual arenas that engaged billions of people worldwide. The remaining 6 matches stretched over the following week, each generating enormous viewership and charitable contributions. William won 2 more matches through tactical discipline and clutch performance under pressure. Faisal claimed 3 victories that showcased his superior mechanical skills and competitive experience. The final match, with the championship tied 3-3, drew over 6 million viewers and raised £2.4 million for educational technology programs. Faisal ultimately prevailed in a 7-game thriller that required 2 overtime periods to decide, but the margin of victory was far smaller than anyone had predicted. At the closing ceremony, conducted virtually with both princes appearing on screen together, the focus was less on who had won than on what they had accomplished together. This championship has demonstrated something profound about the power of competition to create understanding, William said during his closing remarks. Prince Faisal and I come from different cultures, different backgrounds, different gaming experiences. But for 7 matches, we competed as equals, judged purely on skill and performance. That's the beauty of esports. It creates a level playing field where merit is the only currency that matters. The Royal Rocket League Championship had ended, but its impact continued long afterward. Gaming enrollment in youth programs increased dramatically in both the UK and Saudi Arabia. Charitable organisations reported sustained increases in donations. Most significantly, traditional institutions around the world began seriously considering how they might engage with digital culture in meaningful ways. William continued playing Rocket League, though less intensively than during his championship preparation. His rank stabilised at Champion I, a level that would have seemed impossible when he first downloaded the game. More importantly, he had gained genuine appreciation for the skill, dedication, and community aspects of competitive gaming. Faisal remained active in the gaming community, using his platform to promote charitable causes and cross-cultural understanding through esports. The friendship that had developed through their competition continued, with both princes occasionally teaming up for casual matches against other players. The championship had started as a simple challenge between 2 individuals, but had evolved into something much larger, a demonstration that even the most traditional institutions could adapt to and embrace the digital age, that competition could create understanding across cultural boundaries, and that the virtual arenas of esports could host contests of genuine significance and meaning. Most importantly, it had shown that when stripped of titles and traditions, reduced to pure competition and skill, even princes were just players trying to hit a ball with rocket-powered cars. And sometimes that was exactly what the world needed to see.